Hello guys, my name is Michael and welcome to a new GTK HeaderBar tutorial. Maybe you thought that we are done with it, but trust me, we are somehow only in the middle of this story with this GTK HeaderBar, and you will see why. Anyway, before we proceed, let us take a short brief and check a little bit the flow of the program again. I make some clean off the program the way it was designed a little bit to have it more cleaner, but it is the same like it was until now. Anyway, we have what do we have here? We have a function which loads our CSS. We are creating a window which has its width, height, and of course a title. Then later we are creating a grid which takes two parameters. Basically the first parameter is the row for setting the row homogeneous, and the next one is for its setting its column. Nothing special. Okay, later in our program we are declaring 5 pointers: a window, for a grid, a header bar itself, and of course 2 buttons. We initiate our GTK and we are loading CSS, and then we are creating a window. Let me clean a little bit the program here for a second. So I'm going to close the management, okay, and I'm going to run the program. I'm going to move it at side right here, and I'm going to drop this one. So basically we created a window with 450 300, so basically 450 and from top to bottom 300, and nothing special. It is called my app. You don't see the name because of the second function right here which says GTK window set decorated. This function, as you already saw in the last videos, we decide to have more control over our application. That and this means we are giving to the Windows Manager less control. If you are setting it to true, for example, let me set it for a second to true, then of course you have this title right here where it says my app, and of course those 3 buttons, and later you see the GTK HeaderBar. But we decide to use it, to set it to false, because we don't need that title bar in our video at all, and so on. Okay, next one, we created a grid. As you can see, we said the row should be false, which means it should not take the header bar the whole place from top to bottom, and it should take only the place which needs to be created. And we set its column to true, which means from left to right should take the whole amount space. Okay, and then of course we are putting our grid inside our window. Now moving to creating the header bar, which is the header bar. We have it right here, and of course we putting the header bar inside the grid. So basically this is the only child which the grid has it. Okay, that being said, next thing, we are creating 2 buttons, the button 1 and button 2 right here. You see them both, and then we added some title and subtitle. GTK HeaderBar, we are using it as its title, and 1.0.0 as its version which was set for subtitle as well. I commented out the GTK HeaderBar set has subtitle because as you already know from the last tutorial, only reserves space for your subtitle if you want to reserve it, even if you don't set it here. But because we already set the subtitle, we don't need this function anymore. And then we are starting packing. Here you already saw that we can set custom titles. So instead of having this GTK HeaderBar name and version and so on, you can put a widget, an entry, or wherever, a button like we did, and so on. And then we start packing. So basically here is the part where we are creating the buttons, we are packing them, and then we are putting them inside the header bar, button 1, button 2. Later we decide to GTK header bar to have those close buttons. I set it to false, but I will set them to true to have more control. So let me close the application now and build it and run it again. I'm sending this, and as you can see, now we have also the those 3 buttons to minimize, maximize, and close, and so on. Anyway, then we decide that we set our layout decoration, which means we pass those menu for minimize, maximize, and close. And once that we have them, I don't know if I told you in the last tutorial. If not, it is time now for you to know, which is very important. Watch out how you are playing with this function, or if you are setting this property to decoration layout. What I'm talking, it is about the names right here. You see, we have the menu, double colon, and then we are starting to put in names: minimize, comma, maximize, comma, close. If, and I repeat, if you decide to put a space before or after one of them, you get yourself in trouble. So let me show you. Now we have minimize, maximize, and close, so those 3 right here. Now I'm deciding to put a space between comma and maximize right here. You see, I'm putting a comma here. Now let me compile it and run it again. Bam! You see, it's missing. We have no maximize anymore. Why? Because we made this mistake. We were putting a space here. The same things happen if you put it before close or after, wherever. Watch. The close is gone. You see, you don't have it. So no matter where's the space it is, I'm going to put it after minimize right here, and you will see the same. The minimize button is out, so you cannot send your application to your tray, to your text bar. Sorry. See? So be aware. Okay, be warned. Don't put spaces somewhere between those things here, because it's going to get messy and you'll not know why it's not working, even if you did everything right. Well, you didn't. Okay, so that being said, let me move it outside, at the side. The next thing which we are going to talk about now is probably you are thinking now why we are talking again about the properties. So when you say properties, basically, let me click a little bit here, the property, you will say property, those properties here, we can set them also with those functions. Yes, it's true. I already told you a lot of time, I think, in my other videos. But what makes important now, it is that we are not going to set some properties today, which we can already set them with this function. We are going to set some properties which they are not available for us through these functions, and one of them, it is the spacing right here. You see, you have a property here, spacing, which you cannot set it with those functions. So I'm going to click on it, and says the amount of space between its children. So between children, what this means, this is very important for you to know. Just remember, if you need a value to set it, that value basically affects all, and I repeat, all those things, let me call them like that, all those things which you are using inside of a header bar. What means things? You have a button, you have some space, you have a title, you have some space, you have a button again, you have some space here, which is together with a separator, if I'm seeing right, and then you have all another 3 buttons right here. So now let me show you. So let us set this property, spacing, copy, and I'm going to set it right now. G object set properties. Okay, GtkHeaderBar gets the spacing property, and I'm going to use 50 pixels, 50, a big one, and null to inform them we are done with it. Now watch, I'm going to compile it and run it. Bam! Now just remember, if and you really need to set the spacing, you see here on the right where are those 3 buttons, you get that spacing as well, even between that separator right here, even between the button separator right here. You see, everywhere you get a space, and not just a space, the title get messy. You see, you have no room enough anymore for your title, so basically you need to be sure how big should be your window to fit the title, just enough to, you see, I'm just make it bigger. Now you see the whole title. Anyway, just remember, when you are playing with this spacing, I'm going to set 6, which was the default one. I think it says 6. Yes, okay. Now let us see, the props are gone. Now we are going to see something new, something which I didn't tell you until now, even when we were learning about GTK. No, I'm not going to take this way, because I want to show you something. So until now we never talk about child properties. As you can see, we have 2 of them, a pack type and a position. So basically for you will be probably easy. You see GTK pack type indicating whether the child is packed with reference to the start or the end of it. Okay, so basically the default value should be pack start. For you it is quite simple, isn't it? You copy the property, and then let me call again the G object set, just to be more clear and cleaner. Object set header bar, the pack type, and of course pack type, we can right click on it, and then we see that we have both end and start. I'm going to choose a start for a moment. Okay, so I'm going to put it right here, and again inform me with null, and that's it, isn't it? It's quite simple. We are setting our property pack type to our header bar, and we are saying to pack its child at the beginning. So let us compile it and run and see how it looks like. Bam! Houston, we have a problem. As you can see here, it says warning, G object set is valid property, and Y object class, and now it's very important, GtkHeaderBar has no property name packs type. What the heck? Okay, it doesn't. So this means we choose the wrong widget, isn't it? So this means we need the child, not the header bar. So I'm going to pass now the button 1, which is the child. I'm going to use the pack type of on this child with the pack start as well. So basically this is everything you need to work with, isn't it? No, nope. Even now it's not working. Why? Well, the same story. Object class GTK button has no property name pack type. Of course it doesn't have, because GTK button, it is a child, but it's not. It's about the child of the header pack, not the GTK button. You understand the difference? Well, let us check something very important. Let us go back a little bit. I'm going all the way up. You remember I told you in some videos, and I will tell you again, and I will probably tell you again and again. When you search for a particular widget, like in our case the GtkHeaderBar, before you work with that widget, just check this part right here. It is very important. Why? Because you know, with by checking this kind of widget, which kind and which type of widget it is not and not what widget it is. Okay, I'm complicating things anyway. So we see here we have child properties, which we're talking now. We don't know now, but we should know. So basically, when you come here and you see this, means you already should know what this means, but we don't know. We have properties, we saw the story with the properties, we have implemented interfaces, we are going to come with that part later, and then we have object hierarchy, description description about what it is, and very important, I'm coming again, object hierarchy. This means before you work with that widget, just check which subclass of which it is and from where it's coming. So what we see here, it says it is a subclass of GTK container, and which itself also is a subclass of GTK widget. So basically the header bar is not a widget, it's a subclass of GTK container. So what this means, now we are going to go to see the GTK container. We are talking about GTK containers when we are talking about the GTK grid, isn't it? And we are going to talk about others too as well, but basically we know it's the base class for widgets which contain other widgets. So basically our header bar, it is a container. Okay, now what do we need to know about containers? We need to know about its signals, isn't it? We need to know about its properties, we need to know about implemented, description, and so on. So we are going to description again. It is a long list which you should read it for yourself. It is a long story to read here, as you can already probably notice. If not, you see now. You should read it. We are coming with these things somehow in the future tutorials, but not now. And then the very important part, bam, right here, child properties. Okay, now let me go a little bit back to the object hierarchy. Let me search the header bar again. It's right here, and of course now we are going to child properties. Okay, so now we have two, pack time and the position. These are the child properties of our GTK header bar. Now GTK container introduce child properties. These are objects properties that are not specific to either the container or the contained widget. Now I think you understand what I was telling you when we saw those warnings, that button it has no property because the button is just a child. So we need to say the child, which is the button, but it's not the button itself. It is only that it is a child. So again, these are properties. These are object properties that are not specific to either the container or to the container widget, but rather to their relation. Okay. So typical example of child property are the position or the pack type. Let us go back. What do we have here? Pack type and position. Bam! Now the things are starting to be more clear, isn't it? Of a widget which is contained in a GTK box. Yes, because we have a GTK box inside the GTK header. But anyway, use GTK container class, install child properties, file child properties, and list child properties to get information. Okay, and now this is important for us today. To set the value of a child property, use child set property, child set, or child set v argument list. We are not going to use all of them because anyway, to obtain the value you get it. So basically you saw the way how we were using when we are setting our properties, we are using the GObject set and not GObject set property, isn't it? Because that is too complicated, and there are some points where it will be better for you to use GObject set property instead of this one, but we're not going to talk now about that. But you already know that GObject set is the right one. So the same story happens with this one as well. We are not going to use set property from our container child. We are going to use the GTK container child set. So what this means? This means sets one or more child properties of for child and container. You see that? This is what we need, isn't it? Yes. Now, this function takes 1, 2, 3, at least 3 parameters with its value, of course. And as you can see, say the GTK container, it is the container, the child, the widget which is child of a container. And then we have the first property, which the name of the first property to set. You see, it is the same story like with setting properties with GObjectSet, and then a null terminator list of properties, those are properties which we are using, and so on. And then, of course, the last part, don't forget to set to null the last argument, so that you are informing your function that you are done with it. So let me copy this one right here. I'm going to replace the GObjectSet with gcontainer child set. So this means what we need a header bar. This is the container, so I'm going to say, as you can see, GTK container. So GTK container, we need to cast our header bar to the right one. And then the second one, it is the child, which is a widget, which is fine. Our button, it is a widget. And then the next one is the property. So now basically we are going here, child pack type. I'm going to copy the pack type, copy. I already have it, but just to see it. And then pack start. Now let us compile it and run it. What do we have here? We have button 1 and button 2. We said that button 1 should be packed to start. Now let's see what happens if we choose the button 2 to pack it to start. You see, now we're packing button 1 also to start. Start means before your title and not and in front of all this story right here. No, this is what you do. The same thing happens now if let me copy this part right here and put button 1 right here with the story of end. So basically now we are packing the button 1 after we packing the button 2. And this one we are sending into end. So we change the flow of the program by setting this property. Basically, you see, button 2 and button 1. The way you decide is the way you choose it. Me, I'm going to change it back. So I put button 1 right here and button 2 right here. I'm going to say both of them should be packed to start. I'm going to compile it and run it for a second. And as you can see, we have them both here. Right, now just remember, let us go back to the property. It says a GTK pack type, indicating whether the child is packed with reference to the start or the end. So it's indicating if the whether the child is packed. It's not packing. So what this means, well, let me show you something. Let me comment out. You see right here, here is the part where we are packing. So let me comment out these two things, 1, 2. I'm going to compile it and run it and see what happens. Yes, of course, we have no buttons anymore. Why? Because we are setting here those properties, but we are not packing them. We are not using them. You use them. To use them, you need to pack them at the beginning. So basically, this is what you need to do first. You pack them, and then later you decide those properties, the way how you change them and how you work with those properties. And then you come to this story. So now I'm going to compile it and run it again. Let me drop it here. You see, at the beginning we said the button 1 should be to the start. Right here it is. And then the button 2 should be to the end, which should be here, and it was here. But because we decide to change the packing and said button 1 should be packed to the start and button 2 should also be packed to the start, basically what we did, we put them both to the start in front of the GTK HeaderBar title, and this means we change it the way we wanted to have it. Now let's come to the last let's go to the last property, child property, and which is the position, the child position. Okay, which says the index of the child in the parent. This means the value is 0 and the allowed values are greater or equal to -1. So let us see how it's working. I'm going to copy this right here because I don't want to type it again. I only use yes. So basically we are changing the pack type. Now we have button 2 after button 1 we said in the pack start. So what means now if we press now 0 right here, position 0. Now it is the story where you put your first widget at the beginning by setting its position. You see, button 2 we said put it at the position 0, and button 1 it is let at that position. So basically now we switched those places of those buttons. Okay, but if, and I repeat, if you are deciding to use and here, you see now I'm packing the header bar child's the first button to the start and the second one to the end, which means between those two it is the title. Now when you set the position of your button 2 to 0, you have no changes because it is at the position 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on, and not 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because the button 2 you already pack it at the end position. Okay, I'm thinking that maybe was a little bit too much complicated this tutorial. I hope guys that you understand the things which I'm trying to explain you today. There are new things, new kind of properties, child properties, which we were setting for the first time in this manner to a widget, and you saw how and which is the right way to do it. This means the next things which we are going to learn, which we are going to apply to our widget, to our header bar widget, it will be of course signals, and then the last part which I like it, the CSS part. Until then, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.